It's that time of the year again. The air feels cooler, the leaves fall like whispers, and pumpkins glow on doorsteps. Everywhere you look, there's something spooky, something playful, something magical. Halloween is here. In America, it's the second most celebrated holiday of the year, right after Christmas. Shops fill with masks, candies, and costumes. Children laugh as they plan who they'll be this time: a witch, a ghost, or maybe their favorite superhero. Parents smile, pretending not to be tired, as they help carve pumpkins and hang fake cobwebs on the porch. Teenagers gather for scary movie nights, and somewhere down the street, a neighbor turns his house into a haunted maze. Halloween feels like a night where everyone, young or old, gets to play pretend, to become someone else, to step into the mystery of the dark, but with laughter instead of fear. But my friends, have you ever stopped to wonder, where did it all begin? Why do we dress up, light candles, and tell stories about ghosts every October? Is it just a night of fun, or is there something deeper behind it? Some say it's a Christian holiday, others call it a pagan festival, and many, confused or curious, simply say, "I don't know, but I love it." The truth, as it often is in history, is more complicated and more fascinating. Halloween is not just one story. It's many stories woven together, of ancient farmers watching the seasons change, of priests and missionaries reshaping old customs, and of immigrants carrying memories across oceans to new lands. It's a story about fear and faith, about death and rebirth, and about how people, through thousands of years, found joy even in the face of darkness. So tonight, as we walk under the autumn moon, let's go back, far back, to the time before candy and costumes. Let's discover the mysterious beginning of this beautiful, haunting celebration, and ask together, what indeed is Halloween? Long before candy, costumes, and pumpkin lights, there was a night of fire and fear. A night when the ancient Celts gathered under the dark autumn sky and whispered to each other, "Tonight, the veil between worlds grows thin." This night was called Samhain, spelled S-A-M-H-A-I-N, but pronounced Samhain. For the Celts, who lived more than 2,000 years ago across what is now Ireland, Scotland, and parts of France, Samhain marked the end of the harvest and the beginning of winter, a time of change, a time when the light faded and darkness returned. It was their New Year's Eve, a moment when one world died and another began. They believed that on this night, the barrier between the world of the living and the world of the dead disappeared. Spirits, both kind and cruel, could walk among the living. So people lit great bonfires on the hills. The fire was not only to keep them warm, but also to protect them from wandering spirits. Farmers brought in their animals, families gathered to share the last of the harvest, and food was offered to ancestors, so that their souls would bless, not haunt the home. Imagine it, the sound of drums, the crackle of fire, faces painted in ash and light, children watching in awe as the elders told stories of gods and ghosts. Samhain was both a celebration and a warning, a reminder that life and death were never far apart. The Celts saw the world as a circle. Each ending was only the start of something new. The summer dies, so that the winter may live. But not everyone understood these customs. Centuries later, Christian writers described the Celts as pagans, people who worshipped darkness. They called Samhain a festival of the dead, and sometimes even the Devil's Day. Yet, modern historians tell a gentler truth. Samhain was not evil. It was spiritual. It was the Celts' way of honoring nature, of accepting that death was part of life, and of celebrating the mysterious rhythm of the earth itself. So when you light a candle on Halloween night, or feel a chill in the October air, You are touching something ancient, something older than any religion or story. You are touching the heartbeat of Samhain, the night when fire met shadow, and the living spoke softly to the dead. As centuries passed, the fires of Samhain burned lower, but they never went out. The world was changing, new faiths were spreading, and among them was Christianity. When Christian missionaries arrived in the Celtic lands, they found a people with deep traditions and a calendar filled with festivals of nature and spirit. At first, the church tried to replace them, to erase the pagan ways and bring a single new truth. But soon, something remarkable happened. They realized that people's hearts cannot be changed by force. Tradition lives too deep in the soul. So, instead of destroying Samhain, they decided to transform it. This process was called syncretism, where old customs are given new meaning, new faith wearing familiar clothes. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III made a decision that changed everything. He moved the Feast of All Saints, a day to honor every Christian martyr and holy soul, to November 1st. It was no coincidence. This new holy day stood right beside Samhain, and soon, the night before, October 31st, became known as All Hallows' Eve, the evening before the day of the hallowed, the saints. Over time, All Hallows' Eve was shortened to Halloween. But though the names changed, the heart of the celebration remained the same, a time to honor the dead, to light candles in the darkness, and to believe that love continues even beyond the grave. Families prayed for their lost ones, bells rang through small stone churches, and people baked simple cakes, soul cakes, offered for those who had passed on. In many villages, children would walk from house to house, singing softly for these cakes, saying, "A soul, a soul, a soul cake. Pray you, good mistress, a soul cake." This was not fear, it was remembrance. Not horror, but hope. The church had wrapped the old Celtic fire in new sacred cloth, but the warmth was still there, and in that blending of faiths, the pagan and the Christian, the earth and the spirit, something beautiful was born. Halloween became a night between worlds, a bridge between life and death, ancient and new, human and divine. It was no longer just a festival. It was a whisper from the past saying, "We are all connected, across time, across worlds, by memory and by light." As the centuries rolled on, the meaning of Halloween began to shift again. The fires of Samhain still burned in memory, and the church bells of All Hallows still rang across the fields. But something darker was stirring in the night. People still gathered every year on the eve of November to pray, to feast, and to wonder. But they also began to play little games, games that asked the future to reveal itself. In quiet candlelight, young girls would gaze into mirrors, hoping to see the face of the one they would marry. In small cottages, families tossed hazelnuts into the fire, each nut named after someone they loved. And they watched carefully. The nut that burned the brightest, they said, would belong to their true heart. These were not just superstitions. They were hopes wrapped in mystery. Autumn was the season of endings, and people wanted to know what would begin next. But not all stories from those nights were kind. Old tales tell of women who knew herbs, who could heal with roots and whispers. Some called them wise, others witches. Fear grew where faith and ignorance met. The church, powerful and anxious, looked upon the old traditions with suspicion. They saw in the flicker of firelight not prayers, but pacts, not healing, but heresy. And so began the long, dark shadow of the witch hunts. In the 15th and 16th centuries, books like the Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches, spread across Europe, warning that witches walked among the people. In 1590, King James of Scotland, later King James I of England, accused a group of women of gathering on Halloween night to cast spells against him. From that moment on, the night of Halloween would never feel the same. Whispers filled the villages that on October 31st, witches flew through the sky, fairies danced with the dead, and spirits roamed the crossroads. And yet, strangely, people still loved the night. They feared it, but they also needed it. Halloween became a mirror of the human heart, half shadow, half light. It was the time to laugh at fear, to dress as the very thing that scared you most, to dance with darkness. Just for one night. On Halloween night, an old Irish saying goes, "The veil grows thin, and the brave grow bold." So when you carve a pumpkin or wear a costume today, remember, you are taking part in a tradition that once danced on the edge between faith and fear, between fire and frost, between the witch and the saint. Halloween had now become something new, a night of mystery, danger, and imagination. And from that darkness, the modern story of Halloween was about to rise. For a time, it seemed that Halloween was fading away. In Europe, the old customs of Samhain and All Hallows' Eve were slowly forgotten. The world was changing. Villages turned into cities, and ancient fires gave way to church candles and street lamps. But across the ocean, something new was about to be born. In the 19th century, thousands of Irish and Scottish immigrants sailed to America, carrying little with them, except their songs, their stories, and their memories of Halloween. In this new land, the soil was different, the sky was wider, but the spirit of the old world still lived in their hearts. They brought with them the tales of Samhain, the prayers of all saints, and the laughter of their children who once begged for soul cakes. And slowly, under the wide American sky, Halloween was reborn. Here, something magical happened. The turnips they once carved in Ireland were replaced by pumpkins, bright, round, and easy to hollow. The Irish told stories of Stingy Jack, a trickster who once fooled the devil himself and was doomed to wander the earth with only a carved turnip and a single burning ember to light his way. In America, Jack's lantern became a pumpkin lantern, the jack-o'-lantern we know today. Its orange glow became the heart of Halloween, a symbol of warmth in the cold, dark night. Soon, families would carve faces into pumpkins, some smiling, some scary, and place candles inside to guard their homes from spirits that might still walk the earth. "A pumpkin on the porch," an old farmer said, "keeps the ghosts away and the children near." But the real magic of modern Halloween came from the children. As the 20th century began, they turned the old practice of souling, asking for cakes in the name of the dead, into something new: trick or treating. Dressed as ghosts, cats, fairies, and pirates, they knocked on doors across small American towns, shouting with laughter, "Trick or treat!" Neighbors greeted them with candy, cookies, and smiles. It became a night of connection, a bridge not just between the living and the dead, but between people and people. By the 1950s, Halloween had become one of America's most beloved holidays, a celebration of childhood, imagination, and a little bit of fear. Television shows, comic books, and films spread the images of glowing pumpkins, haunted houses, and playful monsters across the world. From the streets of Boston to the suburbs of California, Halloween was no longer just an old Celtic custom. It was a new American tradition, born from migration, memory, and creativity. And like every tradition that survives, it grew by changing, keeping the spirit of the past alive in the laughter of the present. The world began to watch. Soon, Japan, Sweden, Mexico, and countless other countries picked up the candles and the costumes. Halloween had gone global. But even now, beneath all the fun and color, the old heartbeat of Samhain still echoes. In every flickering pumpkin light, in every child's laughter under the October moon. Because Halloween, at its heart, is still the same as it was thousands of years ago. A night when we face the dark and choose to fill it with light. As the centuries passed, Halloween became more than just a night of masks and candy. It became a mirror, reflecting something deep within us all. Because Halloween, at its heart, has always been about one thing: the dance between darkness and light. From the Celts who lit fires to honor the dead, to the Christians who prayed for souls in candlelight, to the children today who laugh beneath their pumpkin lanterns, we have always sought to face the unknown. Not by running from it, but by lighting it up. Maybe that's why this holiday touches so many hearts. It speaks to something universal. Every one of us carries both fear and hope, both shadow and brightness. And Halloween, in its strange and joyful way, gives us permission to face both. On this night, the monsters we once feared become costumes. The ghosts we once whispered about become stories we tell with laughter. The darkness that once frightened us becomes a playground for imagination. Fear, as philosopher Alan Watts once said, is the shadow of the unknown, and when we turn toward it, we find not terror, but understanding. Halloween reminds us of that truth. It tells us that courage is not the absence of fear. It is walking through fear with light in your hands. And in that light, the glow of a candle, the warmth of a smile, the laughter of children, we find what every culture, every generation has always searched for: connection. Connection to our past, to our ancestors who looked at the same October moon, to our families and neighbors, and to the child within each of us who still believes that magic is real. Halloween is not just a night of darkness. It is a celebration of being alive. It is a whisper from the past saying, "Don't be afraid of the dark. There's light inside you, strong enough to shine through it." So tonight, when you see the glowing pumpkins and hear laughter echoing through the streets, remember, you're not just celebrating a holiday. You're honoring an ancient truth, that every shadow exists because somewhere there is a light. And so, after thousands of years, from sacred fires on Celtic hills to glowing pumpkins on suburban porches, Halloween has become something beautifully human. A night that belongs to everyone. A night of laughter, creativity, and just a little bit of fear. Today, when October comes, the world changes its colors. Shops sparkle with orange and black. Schools hang paper bats and spider webs. And children begin the countdown to the most magical night of the year. At dusk, small figures in costumes fill the streets. Tiny witches with candy buckets, superheroes with capes flying in the wind, ghosts giggling behind white sheets. They run from house to house, their voices bright against the cool autumn air. "Trick or treat!" Behind every door, lights flicker and laughter spills out. Neighbors, who may barely talk during the year, suddenly become friends again, sharing sweets, smiles, and warmth. In homes, families carve pumpkins together. Some make funny faces, others scary ones. When the candles are lit, the room glows with a golden warmth, the kind of light that feels alive. In living rooms, teenagers gather to watch horror movies, Ghostbusters, The Nightmare Before Christmas, or the classic Halloween. They scream, then laugh together, half scared, half thrilled. Adults too join the fun. They throw costume parties, decorate their homes with fake cobwebs, and dance under neon lights shaped like bats. For one night, everyone gets to be someone else, a vampire, a pirate, a clown, or just a version of themselves that feels more free. Around the world, Halloween has taken root in different ways. In Japan, crowds fill the streets of Shibuya, wearing creative, crazy, and beautiful costumes. In Mexico, people honor their ancestors with Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, painting skulls not in fear, but in love. And in Europe, candles still flicker in graveyards as families remember those who came before. Different customs, one spirit. The celebration of life, death, memory, and play. Because Halloween, at its best, reminds us to pause, to take one night to laugh with friends, to share sweets with strangers, to feel the chill of the air and the warmth of being alive. It reminds us that joy doesn't always need to be grand. Sometimes, it's just the sound of a child's laughter echoing down a quiet street, or the soft glow of a pumpkin by the door. Life, wrote poet Mary Oliver, is precious, wild, and short, and the world offers itself to your imagination. That is Halloween, a night when imagination comes alive, and fear turns into wonder. So as you step into this season, light your candle, put on your favorite costume, and smile at the ghosts of your own worries. They'll fade as laughter takes their place. Happy Halloween, my friends. May your night be full of stories, your heart full of courage, and your spirit forever young. And so, my friends, our journey through the story of Halloween comes to an end. From the flickering fires of Samhain, to the solemn prayers of All Saints' Day, to the laughter of children under the October moon, we have walked through thousands of years of memory. Halloween, we've learned, is not just about ghosts or candy. It's about what it means to be human, to remember, to imagine, and to celebrate life even in the face of darkness. In every candle that burns, in every pumpkin that glows, there's a story of fear, of faith, and of hope. And maybe that's what makes this holiday so timeless. It invites us to pause, to breathe, and to see that beneath the masks, we're all the same, just souls trying to find warmth and light in this vast, mysterious world. So tonight, wherever you are, may you laugh a little louder, love a little deeper, and look at the night not with fear,